This presentation will be about burns. Burns are damage to the skin or deeper tissues caused by sun, hot liquids, fire, electricity, or chemicals. A quick description would be burns are tissue damage that result from heat, overexposure to the sun, and other radiation, chemical, or electrical contact. They can be minor medical problems or life-threatening emergencies. There are first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth degree burns. First degree only involves the top layer of the skin. The area of the burn may turn red and painful, and while touching, it will turn white. But it does not usually blister on the skin, and only takes about a week for the burn to heal. Second degree burns are red and blistering on the skin. They are possibly more painful depending on the nerves. It might not scar, but will cause long-term skin discoloration. Third degree mainly happens when the epidermis is lost from damage, or the skin. It will scar and have a loss of keratin. They are not painful as the nerves are damaged, but surrounded by first and second degree burns, which are painful. And a quick description on what keratin is: it's a protein that helps form hair, nails, and your skin's outer layer. Fourth degree is heat damage that happens to the dermis and muscle tissues that cause permanent scarring and make you lose keratin, which skin grafting is needed. Also, your dermis is the middle layer of the skin. Fifth degree happens when all the skin tissues are destroyed and exposed to the muscles. It is fatal because of damage to the arteries and veins, and might require amputation or skin grafting because of muscle damage. And sixth degree burns have heat destroy the muscles and expose the bone. It is almost always fatal, and if death does not occur, then amputation will be required. Burns can happen in many ways. You can get burned by friction, cold, thermal, chemical, and even electrical. Most commonly, you'll get burned by touching like a hot pot or stove, or even covered in something hot like boiling water. That would be a scalding burn because you got burned from touching something or being covered in a hot liquid. Video on signs and symptoms.
Symptoms of a burn injury depend on its severity or depth. First degree burns, that affect only the epidermis, cause redness, swelling and pain. Second degree burns, which affect the epidermis and dermis, cause pain, redness, and fluid-filled, opaque blisters appear. Third degree burns, which occur when all layers of the skin are damaged, can result in skin that looks waxy and is yellowish or white. Third degree burns may not cause pain because the layer of the skin that contains nerve tissue has been destroyed. Fourth degree burns, which affect skin, muscles, and bone tissue, can cause dysfunction of the damaged organs. Skin in these regions looks charred and blackened.
Current statistics around the world: 180,000 people die of fire-related injuries every year. Most have happened in low to middle income countries, mainly happening in the home or workplace. Child death from burns is 7 times greater in these low to middle income countries, for example, Sudan, Chad, and Comoros, and less likely in the higher income countries, for example, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. Video on first aid.
For all burns, remove smoldering materials. Remove hot or burned clothing. If clothing sticks to skin, cut or tear around it. For third degree burn, call local emergency number immediately. Cover the burn loosely with non-stick cling film or plastic bag. Elevate burn area higher than heart level if possible, while waiting for help to arrive. For first and second degree burn, immediately run tap water over the burn area for 20 minutes. This will help to reduce swelling, pain, and chance of scars. Do not use ice, which could further damage the exposed tissue. Do not break blisters. Cover the burn area with non-stick cling film or plastic bag. If sign of infection-like smell is developed, see your doctor immediately.
For advanced care, mainly for third-degree burns, what's usually done is they would cut off dead skin from the area that was burnt. They would use IV fluids or electrolytes and antibiotics. They would leave you in a warm and humid environment, and lastly, if required, they would use skin grafting. What is a skin graft, you might ask? A skin graft is a piece of your skin that was not burned, which is removed by surgery to cover up an area of the skin that was burned, usually performed in the operating room. New cutting-edge info.
A remarkable medical breakthrough. That's what doctors are calling a device, giving hope to first responders and fire victims who suffer from terrible burns.
Okay, so get this. It uses the patient's own stem cells to save their lives. As morning anchor Kirsten O'Connor tells us, the best part is it works without leaving scars.
House fires, explosions, accidents. They can take people close to death and rob them of their largest organ, the skin.
Burns are absolutely one of the most devastating diseases known to man. When they're over 30% of the body, they can be lethal.
The list of physical and emotional complications from burn wounds goes on and on. And Dr. David Herndon at the University of Texas Medical Branch says with standard care, the pain can last for weeks or months.
A second-degree burn traditionally has had to be washed twice a day and topical antimicrobials placed upon it. A very painful process for the patient.
That's why RenovaCare's Skin Gun is particularly interesting to burn units and could be the future of burn treatment. The Skin Gun claims to take a postage-sized sample of skin and extract the patient's own stem cells, then spray them onto the wound, avoiding grafts altogether and skipping any legal limitations because the stem cells are not manipulated in any way.
I think that this should work in my mind without exposing the patients to risk. Nothing but benefit, so I feel strongly that this will be approved.
The company that makes the product is based in Berlin. CEO Thomas Bold says normally when people are burned, the wound heals from the edges and then into the middle. But their system helps heal the entire burn at once.
We are placing thousands and thousands of little regenerative islands throughout the wound. Those islands, those stem cells connect to each other and close the wound pretty faster than usually.
He says the best news is they've learned with a couple of people in experimental trials that the spray heals with little to no scarring.
He had like a huge burn. His entire side was burned with a severe second-degree burn. And he said, I was treated on Friday and I walked out of the hospital on Monday.
Bold says that's why, though the treatment is not available in the U.S., it should be. Dr. Herndon says this could one day alleviate a lot of suffering, but he still thinks the cure for large wounds is a way off.
I think the concept of using stem cells to help burn patients is revolutionary and one that will be used in the next decade.
Bold says they're still trying to perfect the treatment. He says they don't know its shortfalls yet because they haven't had enough clinical tests, and they're working to get those underway right now. If they can prove the technology is safe, then it could be available to you in the future. Kirsten O'Connor, News 6.
That is incredible. Bold says they are hoping to begin negotiations with the FDA once more trials are complete.
Burn preventions. In the first case, Anna Seitz was making food for her boyfriend Eric. She was frying bacon to add to pasta when suddenly, the bacon grease caught fire. She tried using the boiling pasta water to put it out, but it caused the fire to become like a fireball, scalding her face and hair. In the second case, a 58-year-old woman was making mashed potatoes with her sister when she accidentally bumped into a pot on the stove filled with boiling water. She tried pushing it back onto the burner, causing her to burn her hands. It didn't work, and the water covered the front of her body. She ran immediately to the bathroom and turned the water on in the shower and told her sister to call 911. Her body was red and covered in blisters, meaning she had second-degree burns. And that's it for burns.